Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at Ultimate Doom. Right off the top, I think we need to mention that Ultimate Doom is the first Doom game available on Steam. It is the first Doom game you would need to buy in the series of Doom games. It is the 1995 edition extra fourth chapter of Doom. Or the full version of Doom, which in all reality, I think most people's experience, if you have any nostalgia or any experience with Doom when it originally came out in '93, it was the shareware version. On Steam, it is running DOSBox 0.72, the current version is 0.74, but I would argue that there is better emulators or Doom mod ports that are probably out there outside of Steam, even for a Windows PC that would run it better. Just running this through a generic DOS emulator when so many people have programmed their own engines and their own software to run the Doom WAD files, .wad files as they're known, is kind of silly. You're not getting a full widescreen 16:9 ratio. In this version, Xbox One controller does not work, even though it is detected by DOSBox, and even in the help file here at the very bottom it says mouse button, joystick button 1, joystick button 2. So you're put back, at least in the default launch, to using WASD and the arrow keys or a mouse. Mouse control does work. It is pretty good, I would say. But there is certainly better ways you could run this. And quite a few better ways. I imagine that there's even a visual mod you could run that would make this run even better than what run and look even better than what it originally looked like. It is crazy to say this out loud, but this game actually uses ray tracing by default. And here I'm just playing through the first level, and that's really all we're going to do for the spotlight, is play through the first levels, I think, of each chapter. Because, in all honesty, that is your nostalgic experience. Going through the first level, trying to shoot this guy so he'll fall forward and drop, I think, a shotgun for you. And if you know where the secrets are, you can deal with that, or you can just run through the entirety of this level and not have any weapons or bullets or health or armor for the next level. In all honesty, I don't believe I've ever beaten a single episode of Doom, because I've never really wanted to play it that long. Here's a secret, for instance. And the levels are definitely designed in such a fashion so that you would want to be able to run through the entirety of the level and find everything. But there is also some level of massive increase in difficulty when you do try to play the game. So see, if I had just exited in the first instance, I wouldn't have had the shotgun. There's at least one more secret area in this place that I know of, and I don't really have this whole first level memorized, and this is the level that I've played probably hundreds of times, and even at that, that's still not enough. You also, I recall, even when this game first came out, have this feeling that you would like to be able to jump, and you don't really have that ability, so you're left in a, here it is, you're left in a scenario where there's these windows you can see into, and nothing else you can do with them. Come on, where is that doorway? That did something. I know there's a way out through here into that area. It's been a long time. So yeah, this is a John Carmack programmed game. It really put John Carmack on the board. It revolutionized 3D graphics. It's basically the first 3D graphics game. Man, it has been a long time now. I recently turned up the sensitivity on my mouse, and I don't think this is following any of that setups. This does use ray tracing for the lighting, which is a technology that is being integrated on the hardware level now to as a selling point for NVIDIA graphics cards. And so yeah, the technology has been around for quite a long time. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip to the end here because there's nothing more. There's explosive barrels, which are cool and such, but yeah, 200 armor, 49 ammo. And so when we look at the map here, I probably have only gotten up to level 5 before I've gotten bored and stopped wanting to play this game. And it really is an example of there's just kind of no going home once you grow up and go to college is the reference there. It's just like, as time has gotten further and further into the future, that level compared to playing the reboot of Wolfenstein, which is way longer and a lot more graphically intense, it has a lot more variety in the gameplay. Even the very first level of the Wolfenstein reboot, it's apples to oranges. And if you really don't have nostalgia for this, it kind of just becomes like, alright, I'll play this for 5 minutes just to see what it's all about, but then that's kind of all you need to do. And yeah, I have slight memories of playing the shareware version. I do not believe I ever owned the non-shareware version, however, of this game originally. If you want to end your game, you go here, and we can get back to the menu. So if you go to this level, which yes, I am playing this on easy, this level I have no memory of, but because of the way the episodic releases were, and this very well may have been an early example of even episodic releases in games. This also is a great example of blood and gore and demonic imagery well before Mortal Kombat 1 did it. And if anything, I think Doom very much unabashedly goes and embraces demonic imagery a lot more than Mortal Kombat 1 does. I would also say that there's something certainly interesting to be said and shown about the way this game is teasing with irritating, very puritanical parents during the time. Like that's certainly a lot of violence here that you wouldn't have really expected. Interesting. And I guess I could only have walked down that section. Like, I have zero memory of ever playing this. It's blue keys you have to collect, red keys you have to collect. There's 7 weapons. This one in particular. Apparently, I may have to come back over on this side. Yeah, here's the red key. So each episode you start with your default pistol, and that's pretty much it. You got the map there with vector-based graphics here on the map, which I believe you can play the game in map mode, which is kind of surprising. Although, like, how is this map really going to help me when there's like not much to be done? Let's see. Run over to a couple more of these demonic portal things. Remember, this would have been in a time where you're mostly playing Super Mario Brothers, very kid-friendly games. Nothing crazy, nothing aimed at mature audience, because there really wasn't much of a mature audience. It was games like this that grew it. If you were 45. There's a gun, certainly. That is a big gun, rocket launcher. If you were 45 before this point, you would have been playing Donkey Kong in the exact same way. And it seems like episode 2 really bumps up in the imagery of the demonicness of this. Which they never get away from that, and there's no problem in my mind for having a game where you're running around Mars killing demons, other than the fact that that is illogical, to say the least. And Doom certainly has spawned a lot of spin-off content, movies, and such. I would say you never have more modern elements in this game that you would if this was made today, where you would increase your attack damage just by default, a base attack, or you would increase your potentially increase your health, or maybe even a magic shield or something. Doom, if it were made in modern times, would be a lot easier of a game, and it's no spoiler to say they did remake Doom, and I expect it will be a much easier game, and that's what I'm working to in this spotlight, is that I'm looking at all of the old Doom games and saying, well, these are historically interesting, but it's hard to get anybody to play this. You're also in this weird position where if you're a parent and you wanted to introduce your kids into video games in a kind of chronological form and show them some of the old games you liked, you really can't show them Doom. Like, not until they're 12 years old or something, and then at that point they would have already been 6+ years into Fortnite and modern games, and the graphics would have looked so bad. Yeah, I don't think I've even ever seen this map. You do get some slightly different textures, and that's nice. Speaking of textures, I think it is also worth mentioning that there's a lot of fan-made Doom files out there that are just let's see, I clicked the wrong one. I may have played this a couple times just to get a general idea. And just looking at the textures here on this third one, this is made to be incredibly difficult. You're just put in a arena, effectively, surrounded by, even on easy, by at least one person that's gonna try and kill you, and you're starting right back with the weapons you had before, and then you work your way. And see, I imagine I very possibly am just gonna die here. Alright. So that was a mad dash to get to the shotgun. Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that before. But yeah, you really couldn't show this to a little kid. An older kid would probably not care at all. Some of the mods on this, just to add, well, there are level files and then there are actual mods that, since this game was ever present and ever popular for decades, so there are ones that would have changed the characters, the enemies, to like Barney the Dinosaur is one I remembered. There's a sex mod that changes like all the characters into like bikini strippers or something like that. I'm sure there's several of them. A lot of texture changes, a lot of joke things. None of them are going to be huge quality products. The next big mod for Ultimate Doom would probably be a deep learning AI super sampling that turned these horrible 1993 graphics into something that looked very modern. But even at that, the interface and the way it played, I think, would still probably create a bit of a problem for that. Let's see. This is just a skull. That doesn't mean anything. I know I've gotten to the end of like the first episode, but I don't think I've got any further than that. And these get harder and harder, and even but playing on easy, it's fine. I suppose I would say this is probably how you should play the game now, is just play it on easy and just run through it. Yeah, and I've never seen this map before, and I think my experience is pretty similar to most people's experience, is that they probably only played through the first episode and then couldn't afford the the payment because this was shareware. So the first episode was free, and then they wanted between $40 and $60 for any more of it. And I never saw floating around the Ultimate Doom version. So this, let's see, option in game. I selected the wrong thing. New game, thy flesh consumed. This part I never saw. I've never seen this level. The reboot was quite amazing, I have to say. It kind of came out of nowhere. Before this, id was thinking about making another Commander Keen game, which is a platforming jumper shooter 2D game that, you know, Commander Keen did succeed. It was not a failure of a game by any series. I remember playing Commander Keen probably more than I actually played Doom. But this is probably an example, particularly this level, just having 2 years to think about it. It's the beginnings of 3D level design, whereas up until this point, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of stuff was just randomly placed. Here we have an invisible demon. There's invisibilities and power-ups. And Doom is also known as an early example of a game that had it had cheat codes like God mode and no clipping mode. So a significant amount of what we know about games comes from this game alone. I believe there's some auto aim in this, certainly, too. A lot of a pretty large amount of auto aim. And if I was playing this on a much higher difficulty rating, I would be dead by now by far. So you kind of have to respect the classics, certainly, but then I think you also have to be realistic. Very few people are going to go and watch Casablanca on their 4K Blu-ray player TV that's 85 inches. Arguably, a black and white film properly transferred would look actually really good on a 4K monitor, but that's just not the realistic experience that most people are going to do. They're going to instead watch, well, I want to say The Matrix, but that's a pretty dated movie at this point too. They're going to watch the Avengers movies. They're going to watch something along that line, and use that as their place to. Yeah, I knew there was some secret down here because you can't. They usually don't let you just fall down without some way back up. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if I died looking for the place to get up. And here's a gun example that is so powerful it kills me. I'm at 2% health now, and we've gotten almost all the guns. Yeah, this level seems more complicated. Unlike the 3 previous sections where I was able to figure it out, this really has me looking all over the place. And yeah, I died. And I think that's where we should just end this. Doom Ultimate, if you have any nostalgia for it, certainly play it. Don't confuse it with Final Doom, which is actually the collection you should buy for Doom 2. Doom 2 came out relatively shortly after Doom 1 came out, but then Doom 3 came out many years later, and it was basically a different team at that point, or at least it felt like it, and it was definitely a different game. And then Doom 3 kind of failed, and then they re-released it in a different format that is available on Steam, and that didn't really succeed that well either. And then more years happened, and then the Doom reboot happened, and really that is the point where most people should start. Spend 5 minutes playing this. It's weird you don't get this game. I would also argue, just on a technical side, it's weird that they don't have their own engine running this, and they're just using DOSBox, which DOSBox is fine if you're running most DOS-based games, but Doom could run a lot better, smoother in full screen, with some improvements at the very least. That being said, the textures are the textures, so if you increase the resolution too much, it would just be impossible to see because it would be zoomed out so much to compensate for that. That's going to be it for this spotlight. As I end all my episodes the same way, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. Usually I play games from the beginning to end unless I'm doing a spotlight. For older games like this, it would be a real hard justification to try and play this entire game. And I don't know how informative it really would be. I don't think that's the experience most people will have. I don't think most people will play it from the beginning to end. And certainly there's been many books written and speeches given talking about Doom. This is hardly a sleeper hit. If you want to support me even further, which would be greatly appreciated, in the description there is also a link to Patreon, or you could friend me on Steam and gift me either a gift card or a game off my wishlist, which is helpful very much too. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.